Now recently one of our colleagues asked for an advice regarding her first car and what would be the best vehicle for her under rupees 10 lakh, and briefly Auto went into deep research mode, and the conclusion that we came to for her was that the Exter S variant is the most bang for her buck. And in this video I will give you top 5 reasons why the Exter S variant is the most cost-efficient model in the Exter lineup and also one of the most cracker deals under the rupees 10 lakh mark. So stay tuned. Now, of course, out of the key factors that we were looking out for, the Exter was made a no-brainer regarding to some key factors such as the entire platform on which the Exter is based, the tried and trusted 1.2-liter Kappa engine, the packaging, and overall the fact that in the segment, this is the Hyundai product that you are getting for under that price tag. Beyond that, there are also other key aspects for first time or new car buyers, including the design and the kind of gadgets they are getting, and those are the 5 categories on which we based the Exter S variant, starting with the first and most important, the design department. So let's start there. By now, I think that most of us are pretty familiar with the design of the Exter, and in the S variant we saw that there is not much difference overall, apart from these headlamps that are halogen units and do not get the projector setup. However, the other thing that we noticed here was that even the projector setup does not get an LED bulb inside. It also gets a halogen setup. So there was no harm, no loss in going in for the S variant, which does not offer the projector, as we are already getting the signature H-shaped LED DRLs right up here. Then of course the S variant also gets the piano black front grille here, the new Exter badging and the new Hyundai logo as well. And the same story continued on the side as well, with the exception of one key detail that was different in the S variant, which was most majorly the wheel size and the wheels themselves. While in the higher trims, the Hyundai was offering 15-inch alloy wheels, these are 14-inch steel rims that get a plastic hubcap here. And this also looks pretty decent. It is not something that stands out in very bad light about the vehicle. Now, of course, the biggest change here is this badging, the Smart Auto badging, which signifies that this S trim of the Exter is in fact the AMT version of the vehicle. And AMT exclusive feature that I will show you right now is this electric ORVM that also gets an integrated LED indicator. Now this function and this LED indicator is something that was exclusive to the AMT version of the S trim of the Exter. Of course, we have got some aftermarket or company accessories fitted here as well, but overall the design language, the entire packaging of the Exter is similar to what was being offered in much more higher and more expensive trims of this vehicle. Now let me show you what's there at the back and what is not and what's missing. Now this here is the favorite part of mine when looking at Hyundai cars, because Hyundai is one of the companies that has made passive safety features such as 6 airbags, ABS, EBD and a lot more as standard across all trims of all of their vehicles. Now that is a major step towards safety, and I truly appreciate that. In terms of design that the point that we were at, well, the Hyundai Exter S trim in the AMT version does get the high stop lamp but does not get the rear defogger or the rear wiper setup for the rear windshield. However, overall in terms of design, you will see that the piano black plaque is here as well, the new Hyundai logo is here as well. You also get 2 reverse parking sensors, proximity sensors here also, but you do not get the reverse parking camera. There is the housing for it there, and you can of course get it installed as an add-on accessory from the Hyundai dealership. Coming to the lower part of the rear bumper, you see that Hyundai has not completely removed this silver part of the rear plastic cladding, and this is also a good attention to detail even for customers who do not want to shell out the entire top-notch amount for the toppest model of the Exter. The consistency of the trim levels between the Hyundai Exter trims continues for the rear tail lamp setup, as well as you do get the H-shaped LED setup here and the halogen bulbs for the indicators and the reverse light. Of course, one thing that is great about the Exter is one of the best boot spaces that you have here. However, the loading lip is a little high, but overall the car is pretty spacious in terms of boot storage and also gets a full-sized spare wheel, a spare rim here, down here as well. Last but not the least, Hyundai has also not omitted the pole-style rear antenna that you get with the Exter, and overall I think the conclusion that all of us at Briefly Auto came to was that the S variant, even though it just sits a couple variants above the base model, is a pretty well packaged deal for someone looking to get into the Exter lineup. Now let's move on to factor number 2, which we found was the most important to our specific buyer and buyers largely these days, because that is concerned with the amount of tech and what kind of gadgets a car these days has. And the Exter is no slouch in that department, even in its S trim. The first thing that catches your attention is the steering wheel, of course, once you get inside a car. And as you can see, this is a pretty modern steering wheel unit here right now. It gets the faux aluminum element, it gets the good grip, and also the buttons on either sides for operating your different functions, including your infotainment functions and even your car information. And that's not all. So the multifunction steering wheel in the Hyundai Exter S is a checkbox that it has made. Now the next big thing is a very well laid out and preferably digital layout for the driver information, and the Exter does not disappoint in that department as well, because as you can see, it gets the latest generation of the driver information system right here that we have seen in earlier cars from Hyundai as well. And while it does not get a complete digital MID, it does get this TFT screen in the center that offers you a host of information that can help a driver in operating different functions of the vehicle. So overall, a thumbs up for the Hyundai Exter S in that department as well. Now let's take a look at the interior cabin packaging and the infotainment system that is on offer in the Hyundai Exter S. Done with that, of course, infotainment takes center stage in each modern car's cabin experience these days, and the Hyundai Exter S gets your 8-inch infotainment screen right here. However, this does offer Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. However, that is not wireless. That is something that is missing in the infotainment screen of the S trim, because you have to have a wired connection with your smartphone for your vehicle to give you the features and functionalities of Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. Apart from that, the UI and everything else in the Exter S trim remains the same. It also gets a quiet mode, phone projection mode, radio is there, you can access your phone contacts, make calls from this as well, and also the infotainment is paired with a 4-speaker audio system that sounds really nice and overall gives the cabin a very nice feeling. Now the special thing about the trim package inside the Exter S and its cabin is that it still gets this patterned center plaque finished in a brushed silver, which does not come in the base model. It does not get automatic climate control. It does get manual functions for operating your AC controls, and it still gets the USB-C point and the USB-A point along with the 12-volt phone charging point right down there, with a bit of storage space in the center console. And here we have the drive selector for your AMT gearbox, the Smart Auto AMT, which I will talk about in just a bit. Everything else remains same in the Exter S. Apart from that, the exclusions include the colored plaques in the door panels and other bits of the cabin. However, the storage spaces, the big enough storage areas where you can store 1-liter water bottles, the cup holders in the center, and everything else remains same inside the cabin of the Exter S. Now, the third most important factor in shortlisting a car for our colleague was of course the engine and the drivetrain, and I'll tell you why the Exter caught our attention, because for a first-time owner, the entire drivetrain offerings that are coming with the Exter are pretty straightforward and also tried and tested, because this gets the 1.2-liter Kappa engine that has been in the country for quite some time and has not disappointed customers throughout its tenure. And moreover, being the only engine option on offer, it also made things quite more simpler. Now, of course, we all know that the Exter has recently also been launched with the option of a CNG, but that is not a route that our colleague wanted to take at the time of purchasing their first new car. Now, this is the 4-cylinder 1.2-liter legendary Kappa engine that we are also familiar with and love also. Now, overall, the performance of the engine is predictable. It is a naturally aspirated motor. It is smooth because it has 4 cylinders and has enough grunt to make overtakes on highways easy and low-speed driving in city very convenient and agreeable. Coupled with that, the entire chassis of the Exter also feels very confident and has well mannerisms at high speeds as well. Along with the 5-speed AMT, it gets up to 80 kmph very effortlessly. You don't even get to know when you reach that speed, and also holds triple-digit speeds very nicely as well. However, cruising at 100 kmph, the car will do that between the 3000 to 3200 RPM mark, and if it had one more gear, I'm sure that the fuel efficiency would have been better for the Exter S with the AMT gearbox as well. Which brings me to the fourth most important factor that made us decide between the competition and the Exter S, which is this: the Smart Auto Hyundai AMT 5-speed gearbox that is coming with the Exter S. And this gearbox unit, I would like to say that it is very intuitive in how it performs. I mean, one of the colleagues that we made drive this car even got confused that this is actually a torque converter gearbox and not a manual working as an AMT. It's not just that. Of course, you go into reverse, neutral, and then you have your drive mode, but you also get the manual mode for your tricky situations such as hill driving and more. And that is not all, because of course, as we all know, the Exter S also gets hill assist control as a standard feature that helps in hill driving and tricky driving as well. Overall, we associate AMT gearboxes with very jerky performance, but that is not the case in how Hyundai has been able to calibrate their own Smart Auto AMT gearbox. And after using it for such a prolonged time, we gave a thumbs up to this entire setup with the 1.2-liter Kappa engine that we just spoke about. Now, of course, the 83 PS and 140 Nm torque producing Kappa motor was a no-brainer, and the fact that the refinement of the AMT gearbox is so good was an added benefit as well. However, finally, these days there is one more important factor that new buyers are looking for in making their new car purchase, and that is safety, that I addressed a while ago as well. And as mentioned before, the Hyundai Exter offers up to 15 passive safety features as standard across all its trim levels, including your 6 airbags, ABS, EBD, your electronic stability control, automatic door lock and unlock when the car speeds up or in the event of a crash, and a lot more. And that is why we came to the conclusion that under rupees 10 lakh, and when looking at the Exter in particular, the S trim with the AMT automatic gearbox was the most bang for their buck that our dear colleague could have gotten. And that is why we suggested to her to go in for this SUV, and she has been driving this for the past 1 month and has covered around 1,000 kilometers and seems to be really happy. And we have been test driving this car as well, and the arguments seem to check themselves. Now, in terms of pricing, the ex-showroom value for the Exter S and the AMT gearbox together comes up to around 8.5 lakhs ex-showroom. On road, the car's price comes up to slightly over 10 lakhs or around the 10 lakh 30,000 mark. However, our colleague got a discount and got this deal for under rupees 10 lakh, around the 9 lakh 60,000, 9 lakh 80,000 range. Now remember, at the time that I am making this video, festive season is fast approaching and the automotive industry also seems to be racking up their inventory and needs to shed it as soon as possible. So I am hoping that the Exter in its S, AMT and other variants as well will soon be offering really cracker deals that will be hard to miss out on. So stay tuned for them and stay tuned to Briefly for more such content. Until next time.